Have you ever said it's fine when really it wasn't? Resentment rarely explodes first, it builds quietly, and before you realize it, you're living more like housemates than a married couple. And if your marriage feels polite but distant, functional but cold, there may be small hurts that were never named. Today, we're unpacking how resentment builds and how to stop it before it hardens into emotional distance. Stay with us because the weekly question that we're going to give you will help you prevent resentment before it starts. If you've ever found yourself thinking, why do we keep having the same argument, or why does connection feel harder than it used to, you're not alone. Welcome to Marriage, Intimacy and Healing with Andrew and Lara.
We're a husband and wife team, blending science-based coaching and clinical nervous system insight to help couples understand what's really happening underneath conflict, distance, and emotional shutdown.
I'm Lara. I'm an ICF PCC certified coach and educator.
And I'm Andrew, a licensed physical therapist specializing in body, mind, heart integration with extensive experience helping high-performing individuals navigate stress, communication, and emotional regulation.
Together, we help you recognize the patterns that pull you apart and offer practical, grounded shifts that bring you back into connection. Let's dive into today's episode. Resentment's such a funny one because it can lead to a lot of quietness, less laughter in your home. It can be silence because it feels like I've tried to communicate, I've tried to get my point across and it hasn't worked. So now I'm just quiet.
Yeah,
and
what's the point?
What's the point? Less reaching for each other. That's lonely. That's really lonely. It can feel lonely.
Yeah.
Less touch. Resentment can create so many things. It's really a slow disconnect. Way more silence if you allow resentment to really calcify. And it might sound like person A saying, it's fine. And person B, okay, fine. All right, it's fine, when underneath you know that it's not fine. The emotional layer is that you can be feeling unseen, feeling like not a first priority in your spouse's life. You can be feeling unchosen, like they're not fighting for you, they're not showing up for me, I'm not important enough. And you just slowly let that cause silence and emotional drift. But resentment can accumulate and that can cause eventually for what it's creating is that distance. It can calcify. So what I mean by that is it can really take root in a way that you just sort of give up on each other. And a lot of marriages don't end in these big fights. They actually end because of a lot of distance and silence and resentment that built where you don't feel heard on repeat till eventually you go your separate ways.
Some really deep hurts that build up because of leaving that conversation at, it's fine. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It reminds me a bit of the Owen Wilson, Ben Stiller scenes in Zoolander and how that brings humour to it. But the Owen Wilson character, comes at him when he says something like that, I remember in the movie. And he comes in like, but you're not fine, are you? And then they go into this banter of like, you're really feeling hurt. Like, yes, I am. And it's all this sort of things where they connect emotionally, and it's humour, but they connect in a deeper way and the characters then come into a deeper place of friendship. And they're making light of this, but it's the little questions towards, but that's not what's really going on, is it? And they were really diving into each other and sharing emotions.
Great comedy duo, so good.
Yeah.
So couples think things like, it's not worth bringing it up, I've tried already and I'm just met with no validation or I don't feel seen. So, but the reality is that unspoken hurt compounds and that compounding is what causes resentment.
Yeah, often we think it's just going to stay where it is and we'll just leave that and other things in our life will build and we're good in many other ways, but that doesn't stay.
Yeah,
it builds, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's actually very dangerous to your relational health over time. So research actually shows that it's that emotional disengagement, not those big fights, that's actually going to predict the relational decline over time. So the lack of connection, not the actual fighting, the silence, the resentment that builds up. And we want to be really careful to protect ourselves and safeguard ourselves from letting letting that concrete and calcify. Such a great word, isn't it?
Yeah, really amazing. What happens in our body? So resentment often shifts from fight or defensiveness or a sense of criticism and dealing with threat. And it shifts from that to a freeze response. Now, I firstly want to say that everyone's individual, and resentment can definitely surface in ways that we then react and fight about those emotions that drives us into a fight rather than freeze. But it can be one or the other. So you might find you're pushed within all this resentment going on in your relationship about something in particular, and some of you people are just wired towards, I just want to deal with that, and it drives me into a fight rather than freeze. You know, that freeze and fawn nervous system response, or the fight of the sympathetic nervous system. So if we're shifting into a fight zone, then there's all the sympathetic responses in our body where we're going to feel heart rate rise, and we're going to feel all those things we've talked about in other episodes. Check them out and you can see that. I want to talk today more about the freeze response, and that would be in our just reduce eye contact. We'll definitely get internal, we'll feel a lowering in our body of some energy in our body. We'll find we just are touching less because we're protection, but it's more of a self-protection. We will feel an emotional numbness. We'll just feel, what are you feeling now? I don't know. That sort of response. The body is protecting by disconnecting. And it's getting for you to just run off to a cave and be alone, where you're not going to get hurt anymore and you're protected.
So some simple tools we can give you to help with this is just a weekly micro repair. So weekly you could name small hurts before they accumulate. Have a time where you sit down and say, hey, this week I didn't get time to talk about it until now, but this is what came up for me. If you are the person listening, the best thing you can do is, a good way to describe it is our good friends from Connection Code say just ooh the other person. So you just you listen and you make sound, and this is called reflective listening. And you genuinely just listen. You don't try and fix it. You just let those hurts be heard. Once a week during a calm moment, you could sit down and schedule that to do that. It might not sound like fun, but you know what's not fun? Letting resentment build to the point where you have no connection and you end up going your separate ways. So that's not fun either.
And what can be good is that over time you've dealt with some things like that, and then you realize, it's been about a month, and I really want to share this thing, and it's not heavy. It doesn't have to be heavy and we have to have the serious talk where I'm telling you about all those deep things that you've hurt on me. But it's more just like, I want a chance and I want a few minutes just to connect about this and be heard.
Yeah.
That's it.
The amazing thing is that you think it's going to be really hard to quickly do this, to sit down together, get your feelings out and just speak. What is hard is when you start to try and fix the other person instead of letting them process their pain and emotion. When you're in the fix, I've got to say something, I've got to make it, I've got to justify, I've got to reason it out, I've got to discover what's going on. That's where we actually so often go wrong in communication in our relationship, because what that does is actually hijack the person from just clearing their limbic system and letting the feelings and emotions be heard. You will be amazed, let me tell you, if you just let the other person share their feelings and you say nothing except just reflective listening. You will be amazed. That's what they need. That's the secret weapon.
But literally 1 minute after connecting like this, you will do all the fixing things together. You'll be set up better for it. How to fix and how to kind of get the solution, but you're just spending time to not fix mode because you probably got the wrong answer right then, because you're dealing with your own emotions, reacting to their emotions. So leave it and just connect.
It's so true. So you ask in this little micro, once a week, this micro repair, is there anything that hurt you this week that we haven't named? Is there anything I did this week that hurt you that we haven't named? Especially if you notice that silence and that distance. This is a really good question. So you're not turning it into a performance review of each other. You are sitting there with the intention of connecting and being heard and allowing yourself to listen to the other person. Because what this does is it just clears the slate between you, and it stops that emotional resentment, and it prevents that emotional buildup of unprocessed communication that hasn't had a chance to be heard.
Yeah, and it might need a little cue. I'm just thinking of someone who's not so aware as a partner in the relationship.
Someone we are coaching.
Someone that we're helping. But so if the wife goes to the husband saying, is there any small hurt that this week that we haven't named and we haven't given space to? And husband says, oh, I don't know. And they're probably in a shutdown place. So said wife might say, I've noticed that you seem a little shut off when I talk about this or when we're doing this together. And it might be a cue towards them just sharing something. And it might be a cue to get a bit deeper. So this leads well to our second tool, which is choose curiosity over narrative. So it's when you feel the distance growing and you don't quite know how to broach the area. So it might be something like, help me understand what happened there when we were talking about this, when we were doing this thing together, when we went out to that place together. Help me understand is a nice, easy way where it's not naming anything. You're not judging them to know what's happening for them. You might well know, but but you're just saying, help me understand what's happening there. The way we deliver this could change the whole game. So if we can come across sarcastically, then the whole thing's making fun of the other person and we're putting that in a bad. So that's a big mistake you can make.
So yeah, like Andrew said, help me understand what's happening there. We're just replacing the assumption and the made up stories in our head with curiosity. Really simple tool. And curiosity just restores connection. It just helps give space to the other person to express their feelings.
That's great.
So a couple we were working with once said, we don't fight anymore. We just don't feel anything. It's just quiet. And they were really referring to resentment but didn't realize it. And that wasn't peace. They thought, well, we're not fighting, so nothing's wrong. We just don't feel close. That's not peace. That's actually not peace. It's actually when resentment starts to calcify. It's when it starts to grip on and become the normal pattern in your relationship. It can be undone before it's too late, but it's not peace. So if this is you and hearing this is hard, we get it. Replace the silence with some curiosity this week and you will be amazed.
Yeah,
resentment doesn't explode first, it withdraws first, it pulls away. And you could ask each other this week this simple question: what small hurt am I carrying quietly that needs to be expressed? And just say, hey, can I just share something with you? And I just want you to listen, and I don't need you to say anything. I just want you to hear me. That can sound scary at first, but when you get into the pattern of sharing with each other emotionally, it's going to help you move forward.
Absolutely.
Thank you for being with us this week. Don't forget to share this with a friend if you know that they're having some marriage trouble or relationship trouble, and subscribe and follow so you don't miss an episode. They come out every single week. This is part of our work, Restoring Marriages with Creative Restoration International. If you care about this kind of work and would like to get on board with being a monthly supporter, you can go to creativerestorationinternational.com, where you can consider supporting us financially and the work we're doing to restore marriages all around the world. And we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Thanks for joining us on today's Marriage, Intimacy and Healing. If this episode supported you, we'd love for you to download our free 3-minute BMH marriage reset at andrewandlara.com. It's the quickest way to shift out of stress and back into connection. And for deeper support and to explore our resources and coaching, you can find everything at andrewandlara.com.
Before you go, following the show or sharing this episode with another couple really helps more people find this kind of support. And we're so grateful when you do.
We're Andrew and Lara, and we'll see you next week.